Well, first you need to know what your goal is. Most people walk around with no goals, no ambition. They don't know where they're going. It's like a ship with no destination. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. Once you know where you want to go, then you direct your time, your energy, and your attention to what? To the execution and the achievement of that goal. If you want to make money, you will make money. If you want a good network, you will have a good network. If you want to build a great podcast with great hosts and great guests, you will build a podcast in that way. It's all about intention. But most people walk around in life thinking that life is just a big fat lottery. And it's just not that case. Those that live by the lottery of life most likely end up losing because you're just gambling. I don't want to gamble with my life. So what I do is I set a goal and then I focus my time, energy, and attention, which truly are the only assets that you have. So when a lot of people come to me, they're like, Luke, I have nothing. Brother, you and I have the same exact thing, time, energy, and attention. But what you use your time for, it doesn't yield a return. What I use my time for yields a return. You get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. Elon Musk said that once. You get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. Most people that don't make money, they don't solve problems. They don't spot problems. They don't capitalize on problems. If you solve small problems, you'll get paid very little. The guy flipping the patties, like Tate says, somebody's got to flip the fucking burgers.
It's true.
But they solve very small problems. So they get paid in proportion to what? Solving that problem. You put a man on Mars, you'll get paid in proportion to solving that problem. So you need to focus your time, your energy, and attention to solving big problems. And hopefully your goal is to serve humanity. So this idea that life is all about pleasure is a false reality. So Dan Bilzerian mentioned it. He said, you know, when you become extremely rich, first time you eat a specific steak, right, it's a 10. The next time you eat it, it's a 7. And then the next time you eat it, it's a 6, right? All these pleasures, when you were broke, if I brought you to spend $200 in a dinner, you would trip ass. Now it's just like, whatever, here's the card, right? So there's some sort of desensitization to privilege. There's a desensitization to beautiful experiences. So when you put yourself in circumstances that are uncomfortable, you create the artificial scenario where now you take the things that you used to have and you don't take them for granted, right? You start valuing them more, right? You spend 2 months away from your girl. Now you value her more than if you saw her every single day at all times, right? Because familiarity breeds contempt, which is this idea of you take for granted the things that you're familiar with. So sometimes it's good to disconnect yourself from the privilege, from the opportunities that make you weak. They make you soft, and put yourself in a situation where now you can reevaluate things and it changes your worldview. So new data sets, new quests unlock abilities to perceive the world in different ways. If you've never left your state, your limitation of your mind is massive, right? You don't know anything. But if you're out here traveling the world, I've been to 45 countries, I'm in my mid-20s, I'm going to do every country in the world, right? It's one of my goals. To side quest and just learn new information, new data sets. And I think that'll make me a better entrepreneur. I think it'll make me a better businessman. I think it'll make me a better partner, better father, all these things, because it's just unconventional. And you will achieve unconventional results by doing unconventional things. I think a lot of people fear failure because they believe that their identity is based on their actions. So when your identity transcends who you are and what you do, you begin to have freedom to f up and to mess up and to treat life like a lab and experiment and test things and break things. That's how you level up. Like we're here in Breckenridge, right? If you literally go to the mountains, and I said it on my vlog, I said life is very much like snowboarding. When you're up in the mountain, it doesn't matter what type of gear, famoose, bullshit flexing you have. Either you have the experience through getting f***ed up by the mountain, or you're going to learn. But the question is, what are the mountains in your life that you need to conquer, right? That you need to go down, that you need to get f***ed up in order to level up. And the better you become snowboarding by practice and repetition and getting f***ed up and getting hurt and getting back up and getting back up. And it's a sport of very much learning and learning and learning, constantly adapting, constantly moving. And if you can take that principle and apply it to life, then life now becomes very much like a mountain. It's very fun. You can cruise it and understand that f***ing up is okay, because it's going to allow you to grow and to level up and become your fullest potential. Okay, you permit it one time, but it's okay. I'll permit it a second time. And to add to that, it may not even be temporary happiness. It may just be temporary dopamine. Like you're craving the dopamine of that past experience of how that made you feel. And if you look at the vibrational frequencies of how people operate on the higher spectrum of vibrational frequency, like you have enlightenment, but underneath that you have love, joy, gratitude. And at the bottom, you have shame.
Yeah.
So you operating at your lowest form of vibrational frequency, you are operating in a state of what? Shame. So when you do something that you know you're not supposed to do, you go into your lowest form of vibration, aka the lowest form of yourself. And most people live in a state of what I like to call quiet desperation. They live in a state of quiet shame. So they're ashamed of their habits. They're ashamed of what they do, but they don't change. aka they're always living in a low state of vibration. And you see them walking around. They walk unhappy. They operate unhappy. When they interact with people, they are unhappy. Why? Because they're not the best versions of themselves. Your mind is programmable. The question is, who will program it? Will you program your mind? Or will your mind be programmed by other men, by circumstances around you? Weak men think that the circumstances that are around them are created by chance, right? That it's just random, it's accidental. It's an accident. But then you have the people that understand that circumstances are created. They don't just occur, they are created. That you then have the ability to create the circumstances in the life that you want. So if you're currently living in circumstances that are not ideal for you, create the circumstances that you want. I can? Yes, you can. But you have to believe that it's possible, right? So understanding that it's possible by doing what? Reprogramming your mind. The Bible says it. Be transformed by what? The renewal of your mind. Right? The Bible says it. Be transformed. So transform who you are by renewing your mind. Sometimes you have to hit reset on the computer. Sometimes you have to hit update. But people are running on the same trains of thoughts and the same information that gave them the problems in the first place. No wonder you're fucked up. You're not learning new data sets. You're not learning new information. You're not becoming a new person. Believe and you will achieve. Now, drop shipping, e-commerce, social media marketing, whatever it may be, gives you the avenue and the ability to learn and make the mistakes in an easy way where you don't have an organization, where you don't have venture capital, where you don't have investors that you have to keep happy. You learn the mistakes while still making money. That's the beauty of the 21st century. That's the beauty of 2023 is that you can actually still make money. Whereas back in the day, it was a little bit more difficult. The barrier to entry was higher. But on the other side, the barrier to entry today also means that there's more competition.
100%.
So how do you beat them?
How do you beat them?
You're not a hustler. You're a business owner. That's the difference. A lot of these kids, they don't know shit about business, dude. They know how to make money. They know how to market. But business is a multidisciplinary skill. Business is a multidisciplinary skill. How to build teams, how to become a leader, how to incentivize your people, logistics, warehouse, customer service, product development, COGS, finance, taxes. Dude, the list goes on and forever. And I've done it, right? I've taught people about payment processing. I've taught people about products. I've taught people about anthropology of consumerism, how people think. I've taught people these things that are evergreen kind of ecosystems and concepts, because this idea of like, well, what Facebook ad are you using right now? How many ad sets are you running? What's your ad spend for your testing? These are all tactics. The question is, why do those things work?
What's the method? Like, what's the mindset?
The strategy. The strategy, dude. And once you have the strategy down, you just have to replicate it in other niches. I no longer set goals.
What do you do?
I do. So I focus on the input, and I allow, by universal law, for output to be emitted. So Newton's third law explains that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So whether it's at a planetary level or at a cellular level, or at an energetic level, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So what do I understand by that? In my life is that if I do something, there will be a retribution or a echoing effect in equal proportion to that, right? The energy is transferred and it's returned in the same proportion. So if I understand that I emit X amount of energy by exercising, I will have a guaranteed body and a guaranteed result, because I understand that by universal law, that will happen. And I have plenty of examples in the real world to prove it. That if I eat healthy, I'll extend my life. That if I exercise, I'll extend my life. That if I do breath work, I'm going to release tension and cortisol and stress, right? These are all things that we've been understanding and proving and developing into that we need to be intuitive about. And I think that it's extremely important that people begin to be intuitive of who they are and having these self-talks. It's interesting. I don't think everybody speaks to themselves, but every man should be involved in groups of accountability, in groups of mentorship. 100%. It's undeniable. Most of the successful people, I'll give you an example. Live in Puerto Rico, the Ritz-Carlton, the membership, 100 grand to get in, right? If you want to be part of the club at the Ritz-Carlton, it's $100,000. That's the buy-in. Okay. Why did I pay for my Ritz-Carlton membership? Because of the members that are there.
Yeah.
It's my buy-in. There's places where you have to pay to play. There's rooms that we will never be able to get into because it'll cost you fucking $50 million. What do you think people that go and pay those, people go to charities and they'll go and drop $25 million on a charity. Do you think some of these guys are doing it out of goodwill? No, because they realize that who they're giving the charity to, whatever that organization, that foundation is, will give them access to that club, that group of people. And then my maintenance fee every single month is $1,000. Why do I do that? Because I know that when I go to the pool area, it's full of rich people. Why? Because I know how much it costs them to pay there. So I know it's no bullshit.